Hey guys, welcome back once again to the channel. I'm so happy that you're here today to take a look at something sort of unexpected because I really haven't been into the Cyberverse line. But I couldn't resist when I saw this. It is the Transformers Cyberverse Sharkticon Gnaw figure. And him, as well as several custom paint apps that I did on him, is going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, that's right, hit the notification bell, man, because it lets you know when content of all sort goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors NL, and the Autobot family. And this is the packaging for Gnaw, because, fun fact, while we're going to take a look at him, stock in a package, we're also going to kind of progress things along and look at what I did to change his coloration and whatnot to make him a custom. Now, pardon me, a couple of things to note. The way that this was filmed was I did the stock in a package stuff first, then I did the custom, and then I did the custom footage after, and I'm doing this intro and outro after all of it. There are things that I didn't like the way that it was filmed. I didn't like the way it turned out. So I showed the conversion the way he was stock at a package first, but I didn't like the way that that turned out. So I think what we're going to do as we go through here, so bear with me, is that we will see him stock the way he looks in robot mode and in shark mode. And then after we take a final look at him the way he looks stock and then move on to the custom work that's been done on him, then I will show the transformation scheme once again. I think that turned out better. So if you're interested to see exactly how the transformation scheme works in relation to him simply being an upsized version of the Titans Return Gnaw, then you'll be able to see it there. So it will come. That being said, this is not just an upsized version of the Titans Return Gnaw. In fact, there's actually a surprising amount of differences. And with all of that set up and all of that said and all of the disclaimers sort of given there, let's head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. And here, of course, we have the Transformers Cyberverse Warrior Class Gnaw. Now, I'm not a Cyberverse guy. I don't know a whole lot about him. As a matter of fact, outside of the Ultimate Megatron, which is hardly ultimate, this is the only other Cyberverse figure to this point that I've even handled anything. I'd like to have a couple of scraplets. They haven't shown up around here yet, but I did manage to score a Gnaw, and truth is, I'd like a couple of them. And like most people, I initially, of course, thought that this was simply an upsized version of the Titans Return Legends class Gnaw. That's not exactly right. In fact, Gnaw has actually been looked at a few times here on the channel. If we go way back to episode 198, I looked at my G1 Gnaw. And overall, he got a score of 8. He was a great figure for the time, even though, let's be honest, being G1, he was largely a brick. Then I looked at the Titans Return Gnaw in episode 265. And he scored well. He's a great figure. And he had a couple of custom paint apps done there, but after I'd done a lot more custom work on him to more closely match the animation, and I looked at the kind of end result of the custom work that I did on him in episode 271. We'll see the comparison here as we go, because I'm saying now that this is not exactly an upscaled version of that. And indeed, it's not. I love the packaging, and in fact, we're going to start off by taking a closer look at that. So my understanding is that a warrior class figure from Cyberverse is really their version of a Generations Deluxe class figure. That's my take on it. At least Warrior Class was that way in the RID line. So I assume that it's kind of a carry forward now. I said I love the packaging, and I do. We have great artwork up here. I have no idea if Gnaw or the Sharkticons show up in Season 2 of Cyberverse. I presume so, but I have no idea. As of yet, it has not premiered here in Canada, to my knowledge, as of this recording. We have over here I don't know what you call them, the picture of the Decepticons and Action Attackers. We have the Mace Mash for Gnaw, and on the back, of course, we have our product images of Gnaw in both modes, and the rest of the wave. I have not seen the rest of the wave, I don't think, but I did see Gnaw, so I picked him up. I'm not really in for the rest of the wave. I'm not that interested in them. But yeah, can you really go wrong with more Sharkticons, man? Now, I'm not real familiar with the instructions for the Cyberverse line, but I'm gonna say this. They're not bad, and I like that they show the conversion going in both directions. I think that's fantastic. Now, this guy does have like a gimmick where he does a thing. We'll look at that later. It's not for me. I'm not a gimmick guy, but I also like how they sort of negate the gimmick if you're so inclined to not use it. But yeah, the instructions, they're all right. I don't think they're quite as good as the Siege ones, but they're pretty decent, I suppose. And here we have the pretty fantastic figure himself. I do like him, to be honest with you, but I am confused about a couple of little things with him. This is a Warrior Class figure. Now, if I'm right, and please, if I'm wrong, somebody can point it out. If I'm right, a Warrior Class figure is like the Cyberverse version of a Deluxe Class figure. Well, here he is with a couple of size comparisons just to give an idea. As examples, here's my custom Siege Ratchet that I looked at in episode 588, and Titans Return Brawn, Legends class figure that I looked at a long time ago in episode 270. I would say he's a Legends class figure. Maybe a big Legends class figure. But if he is supposed to be like a deluxe, then he's a lot smaller, I think. I don't know, is this typical? Like, is this about the right size for a Warrior class figure in the Cyberverse line? I don't know. You need to judge yourself. That being said, the Titans Return Gnaw was also kind of a squat, shorter Legends class figure, because the Sharkticons are, you know, kind of short and burly, I suppose you could say. So this guy actually does look bigger than that. By way of comparison, here we have both Gnaw figures, and the Titans Return one was out of package, colored very similarly to the Cyberverse one, with the pink lower lip and the Decepticon symbol and the blue upper arms. It was very similar, but naturally I've done a lot of custom paint apps. The arms should be completely gray. Based on the G1 animation now, the arms should be completely gray. The upper thighs purple, though I did a purple like streak on them. The lower fish lip should be purple with some red and green detailing, a little green detailing down on the tummy. So I did change things. Now, perhaps in the Cyberverse cartoon, we will have a different coloration. But that being said, this guy is going to become part of my Sharkticon Quintesson forces. So I'm going to do the custom paint apps before we get out of here toward the end. So we're going to see him, of course, now, the way he looks. And before we're said and done, we're going to see him customized, which I guess makes sense, since I said that this was a custom Cyberverse Gnaw. But you can see here what the stock out of package is like. And you can see certain differences. The molding on the shoulders is different. The Titans Return version has a ball peg in the elbow for an elbow bend. The Warrior Class one has a mushroom peg. There is no elbow. The legs also have this locking point. We'll look at that when we look at the articulation, that the Titans Return one does not have. It's kind of strange. They look similar, but they're not the same. There is significant differences here. I'll also say that I think the head sculpt of the Cyberverse one is leaps and bounds better. And I liked the head sculpt for the Titans Return, but I think the Cyberverse one hits the nail right on the head for accuracy for the character of a Sharkticon. So paint apps, I don't know. I guess we'll say it's a Sharkticon. I guess we'll say it's a... If we're going by kind of the toy that we've always known, like, you're not mistaken, this is a Sharkticon. It's like a 9. We're gonna do custom work though, so I'm gonna refrain from really giving a score for the paint apps until we get to the end and we get to that. So if we're not really giving a score to the paint apps, we're gonna begin right away with the articulation, and it's all right, not perfect. We have a head. It can go left. It can go right. The arms can go all the way around. There is a swivel because of the mushroom peg. There is no elbow. I don't like that, but I can forgive it here because this mold has a strangely bent forearm anyway. Plus, usually the Sharkticons are just like a mass of force. I don't think they need to have quite the same level of articulation. An elbow would be nice. There was no reason not to do it. I don't know why they used a mushroom peg here instead of a ball joint. But in this case, I don't think it's too egregious because the arm is sort of bent anyway. Is there a waist? Not really, but you can lift this up, and then we get, when you lift the lip up, then we get a twist. That's for the gimmick that we'll talk about in just a little bit. Then we get to the legs. And the legs, when you put them down, there's a little tab down right here. And the leg goes on over the tab to be held into position. If that tab's not there, the leg can go well back. It can go, it could go forward a little bit more. We do have a knee. Like the Titans Return, there's a chunk of head back here. But we do have a knee. The arms. The Titans Return shark arms do rotate. The arms here do not. All of this is one solid piece. The tail for this guy is back here. We can unplug it and it will plug, like his tail flail, his mace. It will plug into his hand. I like the tail molding better here than I did on the Titans Return version. And like the arms can go well out to the side, and I forgot to mention this, the legs, they can, although this one seems to be held up at the moment and I don't know why, there. They can also go well out to the side. A couple of weird choices there, but like it's decent articulation. You might want to get rid of that little tab that locks the leg in place. Maybe you don't. I don't know. But decent articulation. I don't think he's going to fall down anyway because his feet and his like head heels that he has are just, they're so there's so much to it, you know, that I don't think he's going to fall down anyway. Okay, so the gimmick, the gimmick is the mace flail, and the arms, from my understanding, are supposed to sort of like go out to the side. Actually, I think they're supposed to go out to the side and go angled down, I believe. Is the mace even supposed to stay in his hand? I don't even see the mace staying in his hand for it. We'll leave it in there to see how this works. And then you're supposed to lift up the lower lip. This little silver section with the Decepticon symbol on it, and I don't know if he's a Decepticon in Cyberverse or not. I know he's not in G1. But that little section there locks in right here. It keeps the body from rotating and keeps it in position. If you lift it up and you come... Maybe I should take this out. And come back here, and how is it that this works? I don't find it works very well. Okay, pardon the cut there, but the gimmick is broke on mine. It did work. it doesn't anymore. So the gimmick breaks that easily. I would advise not even doing it. It's supposed to work such that this moves around automatically, and you're supposed to do it by the tail fin back here, but I can do... Mine doesn't work anymore. I used it once, just so we're aware. I used it one time. Does it ruin the figure? Not the least, because I think the gimmicks are useless and poorly executed anyway. I haven't seen any of these gimmicks be any good. Drop the gimmicks, just give us good figures. Just saying. So, articulation, well, let's get him back in a better look than this, and then we'll start grading the guy. So we've had a bit of a rough go here to start us off. I mean, the gimmick doesn't work. There's no elbows. You know, the size is, I don't really understand. But, you know, let's try and get back on track. Though we cannot grade the paint apps yet because of the custom work I'm going to do to touch him up, we can grade the articulation. I said that the articulation for our friend, the Titans Return version, this little lad here again, was an 8. Really, the articulation between the two is pretty much exactly the same, except the new one does not have an elbow. So, because he lacks 1 point of articulation, we'll mark him down thusly. He's an A7 for his articulation. Pretty average start. It is what it is. What about the transformation? Well, the transformation is pretty easy, actually, and pretty straightforward. I think anybody, young or old, familiar with these figures or not, could probably get through it at least fairly easily. And here we have our two Sharkticon lads, the Titans Return one and the Cyberverse one. The transformation for the Cyberverse one, 10. It's fantastic. The transformation for the Titans Return one, I said, was also a 10. I like the transformation for both of these. I think it worked out tremendously well. I think it's so cool. The jaw still opens and closes. The big weakness with the Cyberverse one, in this case, is that these blue shark arms do not move this time around like they do on this guy. But you know what? I don't move them a whole lot anyway, so I don't know if it's a big deal. Here's the thing, there are certain limitations here, articulation limitations, that make the guy 7. But what's left out articulation-wise isn't a huge deal. Now, granted, the elbows in robot mode, there was no reason to not use a ball peg instead of a mushroom peg. No reason. In shark mode, yeah, it'd be nice if those arms could move, but I don't think it's a big deal that they can. I find that the Cyberverse Sharkticon does look kind of substantially bigger, and he's definitely lighter, but I like the look of it. The solid green eyes, I don't know, that seems pretty animation-y to me. So, where do we stand when it comes to the Cyberverse one so far? We got a couple of iffy things in terms of his size, in terms of the gimmick that just failed after using it once. But the transformation is quick and easy in both directions. The articulation is really decently effective. We do have to deal with that coloration, but before we go to that, here is one final look at what he looks like stock at a package. And right now, between his 10 and his 7, the guy is scoring an 8.5. It's a pretty good figure, even despite the imperfections. So we're going to go from him looking like this. So he was scoring decently well. He had a 7 for the articulation. He had a 10 for his transformation. 8.5, just to reiterate. Now, I think that he more closely resembles his, I'm going to say G1 animation. Now, it might be that he does look like the character in the package, fresh out of package, in the Cyberverse cartoon, in which case he's a 10. But because my idea and my iteration of the Sharkticons goes back to the G1 days, I did want to do paint apps that kind of brings these two a little more in line with that original animation. I'm going to say now that the overall score for his paint apps is still a 9, because it's not perfect to the G1. Nothing really changed, except it's more reminiscent of what I think of as a Sharkticon. Maybe I could say 9.5. Why would it not be a 10? Why am I not giving my own work a 10? easy. The thighs should be completely purple instead of just like a purple stripe down there. But I didn't want to do them completely purple because of the shark mode. In terms of effects that this had on the articulation, not much. I mean, the head still goes left, it still goes right. The arms, they can still go all the way around and out to the side, no problem. We still have the bicep swivel that we always had, stock in a package. The legs can still go well out to the side. I cut off the little tabs in here, so the leg does go forward a little bit more, but not much. It does go back freely. We still have our knee. We have all the articulation that we had before, and of course our lacking elbows. In terms of the conversion, that too is exactly the same as it was before, where we bring up the jaw, bring up the hands, turn these around. We rotate by this hinge in here. We rotate this whole thing down the body, make sure that the body stays lined up. Same here. And we rotate that down. The body is now locked into position. We come to the legs and we fold down the two head pieces, bend the legs up at the knee, bring that fin back just a little bit, and put the head pieces together, bring the fin back up there, and really, boom, now you have Gnaw in his Sharkticon mode once again, except for having to place his tail into position. And it looks good. It looks like a Sharkticon should look. Here's how everything shapes up shark-wise, and here he is next to the Titans Return iteration again, shark-wise. I love it. I absolutely love it. But the real test, the final test, because the overall score for this guy, as where the Titans Return one was an 8.5 or 9, this one, despite losing the elbow bend, is still, for different reasons, a 8.5 or a 9. However, as I said, the real test for how good a Sharkticon is how good he looks with, well, his entire team. And indeed, when it comes to the family photo, I think this guy fits in very nicely. And here we are with Cyberverse Gnaw, and I'm totally down for getting another couple of iterations of this guy, figures of this guy, because it's a nice size. Now, would I necessarily call it warrior size, you know, like deluxe class size? No, it's like a big Legends class. Like, it's probably more the height of a like traditional scout class figure. Like, I feel like this is probably about the same size as something like, I don't know, scout class wind charger, you know, from, what was that, Reveal the Shield maybe. He feels significantly lighter. The plastic does feel kind of thinner, but like, you know, for an army building Sharkticon, I think he works okay. And even though he's missing an elbow, I think it's acceptable for Sharkticon because of the curve in his arm. You don't just have this like weird straight arm. You have a weird curved arm. Since doing the footage, I have gone back and done some extra work on the purple. I wanted to really get the footage filmed, so the purple looks a little bit sloppy on it. It's since been worked on more to even it out, as well as the gray on the shoulders a little bit. To me, this looks like a G1 Sharkticon, and I think he fits really well with the display that I currently have of Sharkticons. Quintessons, I dig it, man. That's why I want another couple of them. But besides for the mushroom peg used here and the different molding for the actual shoulders, by the way, if a third party wanted to make arms that have you know, a ball joint and an elbow, these are just on ball pegs. They can pop off no problem to put on new arms. Technically, I guess he has a bit of a swivel if you know, sort of unlock that lower jaw bit because of his gimmick. Now, I said that the gimmick on mine was broken. I don't know if that's true. If it's not broken, then it just plain doesn't work very well, because I kind of like fiddled with it after, and it sort of kind of worked, but not really. I'm gonna say I'm gonna stick with it being broken, but it might just be that it doesn't work well, and it doesn't need to. Honestly, I kind of forget that he even has a gimmick, because the figure itself is pretty good. Now that being said, I got this guy for, you know, at like a decent price. These aren't expensive. However, as I covered recently in GotBot Goes Live last Thursday night, I mentioned then that we have kind of heard, or it's sort of rumored, I'll say, that the Warrior class figures are going up in price in 2020. They're one of the lines that is getting the price hike. And here in Canada, that means that in all likelihood, like I said, it's kind of a rumor, so just take it as that for now, but in all likelihood, these are going to go to $30 Canadian. I can guarantee you that this is not worth $30. It's worth about 15 Canadian, probably about 8 or 10 US. And like I think I paid 18, something like that, 18, 19. And like I was okay with that, because I'm cool with adding Sharkticons, and though I'm not into the Cyberverse line, I'm cool with how this guy absolutely turned out. Even if you're not in the Cyberverse line, they do help your Sharkticon Quintesson display, and they are dandy little army builders, especially if you missed out on the Titans Return version, which a lot of people sadly did. This isn't perfect, but it's certainly a respectable fill-in. Like I said, especially if you missed out on the Titans Return version. And you know what? They're a little more hefty. I don't know. I dig them. I like them, and I think I like the lighter gray a little bit better. There's a lot to like here, even despite him not being absolutely perfect. Let me know what you think about this guy. Have you seen him in your neck of the woods? Have you picked him up yet? Have you picked up a couple of them? I don't know. As always, I appreciate you coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. You know I love to hear your thoughts about these little guys. Please, if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button. It helps me out so very much. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, there is a donation link down in the description. And as always, I very much look forward to the next time that you and I get together, either in the live streams, at the stop motion premieres, or right here the old-fashioned way. You know what I'm gonna say. Inside the videos.